Spinning and record. What up, everybody? It's the Clout Route.
Bonus.
Yeah, the Clout Route bonus. You know how I've started calling the Patreon exclusive the Clout Route Do Beavis and Butthead because of their movie is the Beavis and Butthead Do America or whatever. So I tried to go that way. Could we call this the Clout Route Do Keffals and Chris Chan?
Ooh, we should not do that. Okay.
No, you're not. You're not with that title. You're not with that one.
No, I think that one might get Leviathans sent after us, Danny. Sorry, I'm still in my Mama Max era. Okay, we're just gonna continue to pretend like we're in a Saw movie, narrate everything really creepily, and I'm gonna put this right into my mouth like this when I talk.
You know, where was Mama Max when Chris Chan was running around acting like he did?
He was busy writing scripts for his fucking ARG is what he was doing, is make believe. He found one poor little dude who wore vampire fangs and made a cringy video, and then he made allegedly a entire fake made up story so that he could get more attention on the internet. Now that is just a theory, a clout theory. So you can't sue me, but come back. I'm gonna bookmark this if I'm right. All right. If we find out that all of this shit is fake, I'm not pressing X to doubt on that. I'm actually locking that in. I'm pressing A so fast. If somebody's like, "You think you made all this up?" I'm like, "Yes, I do."
So, what's your clout theory on Chris Chan then?
Chris Chan has been replaced.
From
an alternate dimension, Chris Chan. I believe
that. Well, they talk about that in this interview we're about to watch. Okay.
Oh,
Chris says, "I am the one and true Prime Chris." So,
Chris Chan
unless a lesser Chris Chan would lie about being the Prime Chris Chan, I feel like we have to take Chris Chan at her word, right?
It sounds like something a lesser Chris Chan would do, but I'll follow your lead on this one for now, Danny. I'll tell you guys when it's time to throw your X's up, okay?
So if you missed it, we have a kind of prelude, I guess, to this bonus, and that one of our earlier bonuses was Chris Chan's return to the internet. It was honestly, a lot of the things that they address in this interview, Keffals and Chris Chan, were things that Chris kind of already talked about in her return story, whatever. But because it's a conversation with somebody, it goes down a little differently. I think it's interesting.
Well, I would hope, because if it went the way Chris Chan's first video went, then there had to be a few moments where a little clarification might be needed. So this ought to be good, Danny. I'm excited to see. Well, excited might be the wrong word. I think anxious is a more appropriate word. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you should be, I guess.
Nervous.
These are big figures on the internet. I have to say, Keffals became sort of a Leviathan of her own. And Chris Chan is legendary, so this could be big,
Chris Chan's listen, if Keffals is a Leviathan, then Chris Chan is Cthulhu.
I like that. That might be a little too deep cut for our non D&D users out there. I'm with you.
Good. As long as there's one. I've been running out of Fallout material for V-Dub. I got to switch genres here.
So here we have it. Chris Chan has returned with Keffals here. The first 2 minutes here, you'll see that I've skipped. That's because it's Christery, as they say, and we don't need any of that, right?
Nah, otherwise you can just tag me out, right? Like that's
right. Why else
my
would I have
job, man? Or ma'am in this case. Keffals, that's my job.
Okay, so let me I'll let her lead into it here, but you like how the first 2 minutes of it is like this gazing darkness butthole.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that?
It's this little background just like keeps moving, like an idle
I would
screen.
say we had Keffals in a well lit sound stage, and then is this Chris Chan's webcam? Is that
This is Christian's butthole,
yeah,
actually.
it's just
A deep look into
the
Christian's
trolls are
asshole.
at it again. Oh,
Okay, Chris, we just need you to bend over and take a picture real quick. Post it, and then we're gonna make an animation that's just constantly zooming into your intestines and asshole.
this is the portal that the other Chris Chan used to
They hop
come
through.
into this dimension and commit those unspeakable crimes that I'm sure we'll talk about at some point or hear about in this video.
I like that. I mean the portal thing, not the unspeakable crimes or whatever.
Yes. Okay. Good. Yeah. I was like, whoa. Fair enough.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's get right into the Chris Chan. Okay. Here we go. Gazing buttholes.
The following video is the conversation that took place. So I know when I put this interview up, like a lot of the people who are going to watch this already know who you are. But
Yeah.
I guess what I wanted to ask, like, starting this off, is for the people who aren't familiar.
Oh, he's
with
gonna
who
do the
you are,
yas and
how would you
uh-huhs the whole
describe
time.
yourself?
I
Well,
like that.
The
My
throwback
full
shirt.
name, which I'm looking to legally.
I mean,
That's like the original shirt, dude.
it's the OG everything, right? I mean, well, he talks about it later. Chris talks about it later with the medallion that it's like the third iteration or whatever.
I was say a few of those have been destroyed.
But the like the Halloween costume I see people get in is this right here. This. It's the hair, it's the medallion, it's the shirt. The shirt is
The
iconic.
striped polos, yeah, the striped long sleeve polo, I should say. And you can tell by just how incredibly dirty that medallion is that yes, it
Oh my
is a
God.
Chris Chan original. God,
That
can you
is
imagine what that thing must smell like?
Oh my God.
Because that's a cloth band it's holding on to, by the way. Like that. Nope. No thanks. I can tell why Keffals did this one on StreamYard. All right. So shout out to StreamYard. There's probably no link in this description, but if you want to make videos on StreamYard, go find a link in one of our Clout Route streams because then
There you go.
then we each get like $4. It's awesome. We love you, StreamYard. It is a great service. But anyway, yeah, I can tell. I wouldn't want Chris Chan in my office either. Danny, what about you?
It looks like he's in my office. Somehow he
Oh,
broke in and hung up the green screen.
This is why we had to change the schedule this week, huh? Okay.
I have
Somebody
Chris.
else needed the space.
Yeah, Chris rented the space while he was in town, so we had to postpone some things, shuffle some things around. But you make room for, as I said, legendary. Keffals is the Leviathan, and Chris Chan the legendary hero, I guess. Some would say, maybe not.
Chris would.
Right, the prime hero. Here, let's enough of us. Let's let Chris explain himself here.
What's the point of that green screen with all the other shit? Like,
don't you want to put this? I mean, you could cut Chris out right here and put
what are you gonna key out
him on anything,
and then you have the weird squares behind his head, and then the desk to the right with all the shit on it, and the light that's still in frame, and the power.
Right, it's like the shittiest job you could do.
Why even bother with the green screen, dude? Just show us the wall. What the fuck are you doing? Sorry.
It's probably one of those TikTok things where he like zooms it in, so it's not he zooms it in a little bit on his face and it's just green and him. Then you can put Chris's head on whatever you want. If you're into that kind of thing.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Updates enough. This is Jesus Christ in Weston, Chandler, Sonichu, Prime, and I am the Prime of all my self-counterparts throughout the multiverse.
See,
but essentially what I am,
same, bro. Same.
I am actually the one avatar of all existence, but I'm also the artist and creator and chronicler of the Sonichu and Roshu species, especially in particular that of the special.
So this is gonna get, we touched on a bit of this, the Western Sonichu Prime, whatever the fuck Chris said there. We touched on all that on the previous video, but this whole it takes a whole nother twist here when he's going into I'm the chronicler of fucking
Yeah, the chronicler
Sonichu.
of Narnia, not the creator of Sonichu, but the chronicler. He's just a watcher. He's kind of like what were they? The Wills? Remember them dudes who wrote the story down for George Lucas? That's where all the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Someone had to write that part.
Yeah.
In this case, it was Jesus Christine Weston Chandler Sonichu Prime.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I flubbed that up when I tried to repeat it. But this gets wild. This gets into territory that I've never heard before. When Chris is about to describe this whole Pokemon thing aspect of it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Shows which are the ones that have more abilities in them as opposed to the regulars, because the Sonichus and Roshus, they are species of Pokemon, electric hedgehogs.
Okay.
Along with their evolved form, Batonics and Vamprosis, and their pre-evolved form, Sonics and Rosies, the baby Pokemon,
Wasn't he just
But anyways,
asked what his
I've
name
read and
was?
drawn multiple books, and I'm looking to get back into that much more. I'm going to be expanding my collab a bit, just essentially getting my posse together in a way with help of my friend who's helping me out here, which I'm renting the place I'm in right now.
So yeah, you're
many questions were answered.
You're exactly right. It's like, hey, so if people don't know who you are, how would you describe yourself? And this is the answer. Keffals hasn't said anything since then.
It's been like 70 seconds. It's been almost a full minute, right? We skipped the first 2 minutes, or it wasn't even
right.
You skipped like the first minute 40. So yeah, he's been going for a full minute. I don't know if he's taken a breath yet, and has answered the question and then some. This is just the first glimpse. I can't imagine. Remember the first time we did this and I tried to guess, it was like, about 8 minutes in, it'll go off the rails. And within the first 2 minutes, we were full blown cuckoo town. Yeah. Here comes the sequel, gang.
Were you aware of any of this part of it? That it's like,
that he had added Pokemon to the lore?
Yeah, they're Sonichus and they're Rochus.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like Sonichis and Rochis are like the baby ones. And there's also an evolved form too. And they're electric rodents. They're like Pikachu.
Eevee. They're like Eevees.
Oh, but
those guys.
Okay.
Remember, I think I had that right. It was only 5th grade or something for me though, so bear with me. I think it was like, the Eevees you could pick. There was like a fire one, an electric one, and I don't know, one threw pocket sand in your eyes, I think. So yeah,
that's my favorite. I like
that's the
pocket sand.
That's
a good. That's a good trick.
Yeah, so the lore has been added. Now I do remember the original, the OG version of Sonichu was just Sonic and Pikachu, through the powers. You know how like they fire electrons at each other in those massive tunnels. Yeah, that's something kind of like that.
They ran really fast at each other,
and they just caught in. Yeah, I don't actually remember how their powers were combined, but that was his way around the school project that he wanted to make. He wanted to make it about Sonic, but he wasn't allowed to use copyrighted material. So he took 2 pieces of copyrighted material and mixed them up in a blender, and now sprinkle on 20 or so years of unkempt internet just brain rot, and now we have whatever the rest of that was. I couldn't quite understand that. I'm still trying to memorize Christine's name here, let alone whatever else, the stream of consciousness that we've been subject to since that part got spit out.
Sonichus and Rochus, dude. You need to learn your Christian lore.
Could you imagine like somebody asking you your name and then a minute later you're just telling them all about your job and shit? Like you had like, what's going on?
It's like I didn't ask for all that, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a Chris Chan interview, so Chris knows they're in the spotlight right now. It's their moment to shine. So
I wish you could read that sign behind Chris. It probably says looking for a boyfriend-free girl. I'm not going to
Well-
read the rest because it's racist, so I'm not going to say any of that. But
well, maybe we'll see it as the video goes along. Maybe he'll
he's
dub.
pulling out all the rest of his nostalgia. Maybe he's got that sign laying around.
Putting it out there. In case anybody asking, because I know I'm breaking the fourth wall. You're asking. Oh, you weens out there. You don't know better.
It must have been
Means.
a long journey for you.
Oh, epically.
Keffals.
People
Like,
have been
what the fuck did I get
fascinated
myself
with you
into?
for more than 2 decades. Like, I've heard people call you the most documented person in history. There have been content creators who have made entire careers just out of talking about you. And I guess I just wanted to ask, what does it feel like to be the closest equivalent of a real world Truman Show?
Now,
Are you
okay.
really gonna ask Chris that as if Chris understands that movie? and is
Hey,
gonna
Chris
give you,
thinks it's hilarious. Look at this face.
I'm Jim Carrey, haha. That's what that face says. You think I'm funny like Jim Carrey? I'm
Hey!
the biggest celebrity in the world. This is feeding right into. See, I was worried about this, Danny. I was like, depending on how this goes, we'll see how this interview was treated. What are we doing here? I can't expect Keffals to dive right into the hard hitting stuff, or Chris would probably.
You got to
just
get him
run.
comfortable first.
Yeah.
Warm him up.
It's the
Butter him
Reed
up.
technique here. Yeah, we're gonna get the confession in around the 27th minute. But no, the Truman Show. Interesting. I think that would have been a great question to ask somebody else that could actually articulate any of that. Like someone who knows Chris very well could have a conversation with an interviewer about Chris Chan being the closest thing we have to the Truman Show. But I can't wait to hear the answer to this question.
You never know, dude. Chris might. I mean, Chris was in jail for a while, so they had a lot of time to like sharpen their tools, as you say. So
I hope Chris quotes a different movie in response. Like finishes covering the face and then goes, "Show me the money."
Right. Oh goodness. But Keffals did say most documented person online. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And she said people have made their entire careers on talking about Chris Chan. That, what is his name? Gino Samuel or something like that. I forget. There's a documentarian on YouTube that has done like 83-part series.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, is that the guy who's got the I thought it was in the hundreds, but I could be exaggerating a little bit. But yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, maybe I'm
who-
undercutting it.
who chronicles yeah, I tapped on that. Like that series is just too comprehensive, but
It's everything. And that's
it's true. You think that might be hyperbole, and I think for most cases it is. I don't think there are too many channels making a living off of covering Chris Chan. Not anymore. There was a time, but things have cooled off, and Lord help us if they don't stay cooled off. Like it. Anyway, I'm amazed that Chris Chan is a free person walking the earth around with the rest of us right now, but
we'll get to that.
might not be here nor there at the moment. We're just here for the lulls, okay?
Yeah, Kevin. We're just relax a little bit. They'll get to the hard hitting criminal offenses later on. Here we go.
Put him in a cage.
Oh, that's actually a decent comparison. But yeah, it has its blessings, and then
A
it also
decent
has its
comparison.
drawbacks.
How does Keffals
shoot,
feel
I
right
love
now?
responding to somebody on
Chris
Twitter,
Chan just goes,
especially
"Oh,
on
that's
something
a
I feel
decent
very
comparison."
passionate about. And then it's like, I'll make a comment on like Twitter, like I did recently, and then the wings, the toxic ones, those darkest sinners among the minority, literally 1% of the whole worldwide population, that level irredeemable. But anyway, so just
Have you heard this word
Dude,
that
well,
he
I
keeps
used to
using? The
Ween?
ween thing? What is
Where
it?
did I know? That's a new one for him. He probably picked that one up from a troll. It's interesting. The Sinners, I've heard that one for a long time. Usually it was, yeah, Weens. That's like Phil has detractors. Darkside Phil's always talking about his
Okay.
detractors.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a name. Cyrax, probably it's haters. Yeah, so you have to have a name for your trolls, but Jesus, another unhinged rant of an answer. But shout out to those Turtle Beach headphones. You actually maybe go back to older programs, you might see those same that same set on my head. Now,
Really?
not that I did not donate my set to Chris Champ. That's a
Okay.
solid headset, man. If you need a
Likely
headset
story, Kevin.
for like $40, there you go. Not sponsored, but call me, Turtle Beach. Give me a call.
Likely story.
Mm-hmm.
They get on me like that, and they badgered the person that originally posted that tweet. And then that person that posted the tweet that I commented on just blocks me. Well, that's not the answer because they're still going to attack them regardless. So the thing to do is just obviously just identify those that made those comments, just talk about me building on to the drama of it all, as opposed to just answering the question of which the individual was talking about.
As opposed to just
blocking
answering the
them who made
question.
It's almost like I'm trying to like let him finish a thought or like let him finish his
But he
tirade.
refuses to do it.
I mean, it's just I think we're getting there, and then nope, he has just a little addendum to add there.
The question was basically, how do you feel about being the most documented person online? And he's getting into some Twitter argument that he just can't remove from his mind for whatever reason. Man, this is as unhinged
He
as I thought.
blocked me on Twitter. That's not the answer, okay?
It's not the My God, it is the answer, Chris. It's what you should have done a long time ago. Just ignore people on the internet.
Maybe you should go that route more often. I think that's what you're failing to realize here, Chris, is that the block may be the answer. I have a hard time believing though that Chris isn't blocking people all the time too.
Oh, I'm sure he's blocking a ton of trolls. That's the other part. That's a great point. It's ridiculous. I mean, hey, it hurts my feelings every time I get a block, and not every time, but it hurts my feelings sometimes when I get a block. But it's part of the game, baby. You just got to learn to live with rejection, and not wash your medallion too. That's the other thing you got to learn.
Sometimes I'm just scrolling through Twitter, and all of a sudden, I click on a certain thread and then scroll down. Oh, what's this? I can't see this post. Oh, I don't even know who this is, but somehow I'm blocked. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Chris Chan experiences that a lot too. Look at that.
Not
face.
the answer, people.
It's not the answer, okay?
The comments. But anyway, shoot.
We were almost there.
Real best. So on the one hand, it's just a good way to get away, clear my head, meditate, reconnect, and just move forward.
How do you move forward from here?
I wonder how much this is edited.
I mean, I'm sure it's edited quite a bit, but that reaction to that question, how do you move forward? And Chris almost has a literal orgasm sitting in the fucking chair. Oh, well.
I wonder if Keffals asked some of her questions in post because shit was just so off the rails. Because that was just like either that or after 2 questions, she's like, fuck it. We'll just go with whatever direction this, because I'm going to ask a question. He's going to talk for 45 seconds and who knows where we'll be after that. So because that didn't feel like a natural, like, I don't think that was the next question in her notes to be like,
right.
How do you bounce back? Because the question before that was like, how do you feel about being in the Truman Show? And then it turns into a debate or a discussion about blocking someone on Twitter because they didn't like your tweet. Like, what the fuck's that got to do with it? People
It's
with
an
6
interesting
followers
stream
on
of
Twitter
thought.
deal with that. That's the least Truman Show thing of anything you deal with in your life, dude. I knew he wasn't going to understand that question. So Keffals like, well, you know what? Just go ahead. What else do you have to say, you fucking lunatic?
How do you move on from here? Well, here's another fucking 45 seconds.
Well, Roku chew Pokemon or electric rat Pokemon, and it's like, what the fuck are we talking about?
I hope some of the alternate universe stuff comes in here. Let's cross our fingers.
I try to clear my head as best I can. I don't always have the ability to do that, but when I take my deep breath and get into my meditative mindset, and it's obvious I connect with everything. But it allows me to get myself around
everything,
and then I just feel better.
True. That's based.
Still have the problem mastering it. I mean, just between my body and brain here, just having difficulty mastering my powers and abilities and getting a better understanding of it all.
Preach.
At least we're making good progress along the way.
I guess that
I have that problem a lot too, Chris. Honestly, this is kind of I'm feeling Chris here. Sometimes I feel like I have a problem, controlling my powers in this universe, and
you just pop a couple Zenzu beans, dude. That's
yeah, right. Maybe if I collect the Dragon Balls and wish upon the fucking Shenron dragon, I'll be able to figure out my powers a little bit better. He can unlock my latent potential.
Yeah, one day,
the universe.
I was just walking to gym class through the courtyard in high school one day, and this black journal fell from the sky. And I haven't had really any problem. That's really all I can say about it. I can't really go into any more detail. But yeah, my life's been great.
Should I be worried?
But it was a struggle trying to figure out those powers. Tale as old as time.
It does. I mean, it helps that you had like a whole little like guide in the front of your little book there to figure it out, though.
Oh, I'm a band, dude. We don't read the instructions.
Okay, I feel.
I'm just like, why are there 3 extra screws? What? What happened? Fuck it. Does it stand? All right, we're good.
Oh yeah, I often find myself in those situations. It's like, what? How did I end up here? How did we end up here? Actually, Kevin, is a better question.
Yep, that's us. I bet you're wondering. And so are we.
All right, Keffals, what do you got?
It's a skill. It takes a long time. I know I still struggle with that.
With my power.
Dude,
yeah, certainly did with me, even in my past lives and iterations of myself.
So
that was
one thing I did want to ask.
That was a huge cut.
While I was preparing for this interview, I was like pouring over so much of.
Why can't he just she's halfway into a sentence? Usually I think an is reserved for, and maybe every once in a while you get one in subconsciously or something, but usually it's you give someone more than 4 or 5 words to give them the old audible yep, let's keep it going. It's rude.
All right,
rude.
You talked enough, Keffals. Like, come on, hurry up. It's Chris being impatient with how long Keffals is taking with her questions.
Yeah, God forbid.
And then Keffals sitting here and smiling while Chris takes 3 minutes to answer her one question.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we don't get any of Keffals going. And frankly, I could use a good 10 to 12 seconds of trying to figure out if there are 2 different shades of pink on that wall, or if there's just a bright light behind her. I'd much rather look at that wall than whatever the hell Chris has going on his wall. So if Chris could stop clearing his throat every 3 words, it would be a lot less distracting for me. But anyway, Keffals has a very important question. But yes, this is heavily edited.
I think you had said something about it seemed like Chris may know the questions or whatever ahead of time. I felt that multiple times going through here. I'm pretty sure that she shared at least like an outline of what she was going to ask beforehand. And I think probably Chris requires something like that, I would imagine. Like, I want to know what you're asking me. I don't want to be put on the spot.
You would think that, but Chris has been him being gullible has been what's allowed a
True.
lot of this ridiculous stuff to happen. So I would like to think Chris has learned, but we're literally watching this video, which tells me that Chris Chan has not learned much at all. Otherwise, we wouldn't see Chris on the internet whatsoever. If any lesson had been learned,
Wow.
he'd be in a home. Damn it! Apparently, our
What people have
government didn't
written
learn its
about
lesson
you,
either.
all of the Christery, they called it. They created
Here we
an
go.
entire new term just to talk about your own
They
personal
added a
history.
C to an existing
But
term. Jesus,
the thing
come on.
that's always missing, and why I thought it would be really fascinating to talk to you, is how
She's really
you
kinda
feel
like,
about
"Oh,
it,
you're
your own
so
opinions on
awesome."
these things. How would you summarize the last 2 decades of your life since you got the attention of the internet?
Yeah, let's hear this one.
Massive, crazy roller coaster. Just
2 decades is interesting to note too. Like that's how long. I mean, Chris has been on the internet for as long for as long as anybody, right?
Chris was a child star. A lot of people don't know that. Do you know about this? You know about Chris's TV spot as a
No, this is a
9-year-old?
this is a good one though. What's that?
Chris won. You'll never guess what cartoon ran a competition that Chris Chan won in the 90s, Danny.
Was it a Sonic
Yep.
show? Okay.
He won. There was some kind of, I don't know, there were hints laid out. I forget. There's a whole interview about it because he was on his local news show because that
Of course.
that was his Thanos moment. That poor unfortunate boy won like a $500 gift card to a toy store, video game store, something, and just got to spend all that money on the kind of shit that he still has now, which I think,
He
you
probably still
know,
has a lot of that.
would have been like giving an 8 ball to the rest of us, or I mean, wait, that's not a good one. What's one? Never mind. Never mind that. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, just like that, Kevin. I
Yeah,
think you're right. I'm with
but
you.
no, it's like giving crack to a crackhead, but at 9 years old.
Right, and
So,
Coke to the Clout Route.
yeah, exactly. We got that PO box yet? So, yeah, poor Chris has been in the public eye for his whole life, basically. But
God, imagine that.
I mean, as I am and as I was in my past life and everything, just I would have attracted all this whether or not we had the internet, but just I have my mixed feelings about it. I mean, I have felt angry and upset with a lot of the downsides and those that tried to like they bullied me, they pick on me, they blackmailed to see me, and then obviously just drag my name, my good name, to the worst of mud, muck, and bodily fluids, and
name.
just their whole
Hey,
twisting
hang
it
on. You
around
drag your
and just
own
making
name
me
through bodily
a whole
fluids,
bad
pal.
Mud, muck, and bodily fluids. You have to give it to him that he has like a presence about him with the way he's like. I mean, he goes out of his way kind of to get attention, I feel like, and then he says things this way that like, yeah, you're attracted to Chris Chan. It's funny to hear somebody say some ridiculous ass shit like this.
Yeah, and I think after the whole recycling incident, Chris shouldn't even be allowed to say the word bodily fluids.
Ugh.
Indeed. Yeah.
individual, which of course I'm not. I'm very kind. I have empathy and compassion. And in my works,
Things
I've
that
managed to
kind,
try to
compassionate
convey
people
that,
always have to
but
announce.
obviously it's not perfect because of the influences from these individuals that just affects not only me, but just our entire universe and timeline in general. And then
Yes.
just
Agreed.
whew.
I think
So yeah,
I'm lost.
enough is enough. Sometimes I just feel that I tolerate as much as I can, and of course I keep an optimistic output and faith in the kindness and good and love of everyone in
Optimistic
general, including yourself.
Output.
I think like every person, even when they're in
An optimistic
Just
output.
so I can't get over this feeling that all of Keffals' stuff was done after the fact. This just doesn't feel like it's a conversation that's happening.
Oh, interesting. You think that maybe she cut in
Her
herself
questions
asking
after or
questions?
something. I don't know, because it seems like no, and I get it. Chris is saying some weird shit, but it never seems like she's reacting to any of it. It's just sort of next question.
Right. She's
Next
keeping it
question.
very professional, maybe, Kevin.
Is that?
Do we need
Fair.
we needed a professional Chris Chan interview, okay? And Keffals has our back.
All right, I'll allow it. Yeah.
I'll allow it. I guess. Yeah, no, I think you're onto something though. I think that she even posted something after this interview came out. She was like added a new tier to her Patreon that's like 100K tier or something, like $100,000 tier, and it said I'll release the entire cut, the entire footage of the Chris Chan interview if somebody donates to this, but won't otherwise, which means like there's probably some goodies on the fucking cutting room floor there.
I could only imagine. Yeah, man. Well, at least it's not a grift. You know, at least she's genuinely trying to help. Well, this has not been packaged as if it was trying to do anything to help Chris. It's literally titled Chris Chan Has Returned. I still don't know what the purpose of this interview was, because if I can just be frank for a minute, I'll go back to being Kev after that, but I'm not incredibly entertained by this, Danny. I think you and I are doing a lot of work right now. You know, I might have to take my hat off soon because I'm sweating, because we are working so hard to
Right.
make this entertaining. So what was the point? Maybe I got to be fair. We're only like a fifth of the way through it. So I got
Right. Remember, buttering him up.
yeah, where's that turn? I'm ready for the curveball now,
Okay.
Like,
No.
so
This is just the hors d'oeuvres. We'll get to the main course. Okay.
soon we might have to have Danny do that old remix trick where he's like, "Here, 1.5 speed."
Yeah. No.
Let's hear Chris Chan at 2 speed. A little funkier this way.
We could. You want to do? Should we try? Let's try it. I think now that we've spoken into existence, 2 times speed. Let's just hear a clip here.
Empathetic person. We all make mistakes, and I guess
Almost definitely.
looking back, do you have any regrets?
Well, I'd say just essentially let myself fall for the theoretical S's, as I call
It's
them.
not as weird as I thought.
Honestly, I bet if you did it at like
And I'm
1.5, you'd just have a regular cadence.
like the hell my PlayStation doesn't work at Cannibal and saw the loss of Sonichu Medallion number 2. Number 3 is staying longest, testing the time. But that's just a whole thing I'm not going to go into right now, because
his regrets so far have been getting his PSN account stolen and losing 2 of the medallions. That's it, guys. That's it. Other than that,
I'm glad you caught that from that
we're
speed
good
up there.
I don't regret the weird drawings I made of my friend that made her super uncomfortable. I don't regret the whole sign incident, I guess, which was, creepy and racist at the same time. I don't regret that.
What did the sign say?
I am looking for a boyfriend-free girl, and then it listed out all of his requirements.
And what was like white?
And one of them was white. Yeah, she had to
Okay.
be. Yeah, she had to be white.
Hey, we all have our preferences, Kevin. You like chocolate. I like vanilla.
I do. Yeah, I love caramel too.
Caramel is great. Okay, Chris just likes white. White. Okay. White boy. You said boyfriend list?
A boyfriend-free girl. Yep.
Boyfriend-free girl.
There's a
Okay.
hyphen in there. Boyfriend-free. Yep.
Beautiful.
To be his soulmate. He's got enough gal pals. He needs a boyfriend-free girl.
Yeah. But aside from that, I do appreciate that, they had to help shape and develop me mentally and emotionally.
Is this 1.5?
I can have that damage within
No,
me.
this is
to be
regular.
stronger
Oh,
and
okay.
more
I was like, damn,
prepared
right?
in the longer run, so I can actually finally do something about it within present tense in the recent years, especially after I managed to clear my mind over the past couple of years. So every blessing counts, and then I do observe just the not so good things, which some
What
of
the
them can
fuck
be
are they even going
considered
on
blessings
about?
in disguise when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Hey, we got an absolutely
There's
in
been so
there.
many
It does sound pretty
She
natural,
is
right? She's like,
listening. Okay, I wasn't sure.
yeah, she's here. She's here. She's
Okay.
with us.
I'm back. I'm back. Hang on. I had to get a coffee.
controversies that you've been involved with over the years. And
Oh yeah.
if you could go back and redo any of them, is there something that you would do different?
Any of them. All right. So
So what would you do differently,
do
Chris?
differently.
Yes.
Well, I guess if there's anything I would do differently,
Not my
it's
mom.
just
Maybe start with
try
that.
not to react so harshly. Just after I found the Encyclopedia Dramatic page about me back in late 2007, I believe it was.
Yeah, that'd be a big one. Yeah.
And
Encyclopedia
then finding
Dramatica.
the graphic fan art of Rosie Rose Chew
Rosie Rose.
just being drawn with a. I mean,
yeah. Wait.
Can we rewind that? I missed that because I was thinking of the different fan art. You know, the one that I said earlier he should have apologized for, where he was like, "I'm not gay. Here's a picture of me doing stuff to my gal pal," and then his gal pal was like, "Yo, what the fuck, man? That's not cool. You can't publish that on the why. A, why are you drawing that of me? B, why are you posting it on the internet?" I thought that was the fan art he was talking about, but no, is he talking? I think did he say someone drew a ween on Rosie Rose Chew, and that's the one he regrets?
Yeah,
that's what he would do differently.
Let's hear this again.
Rosie Rose Chew just being drawn with a. I mean,
Rosie Rose Chew being drawn with a dick, and now that Kevin, okay, this maybe proves that they're actually having a conversation here. It might be heavily edited, but that reaction to Rosie Rose Chew with a dick,
that might lock it in. Yeah.
The way you can tell. Well, there we go. I guess this is all the proof we need. Like, she's trying to do a legitimate, like a serious interview. This is her maybe breaking the fourth wall a little bit, like Chris said earlier. And, you know, she's like, it's like the SNL moment when they're not supposed to laugh during the bit.
I was just gonna say, she's decidedly better than Jimmy Kimmel at that part. No, sorry, Jimmy Fallon. Although Jimmy Kimmel's not good at anything, so she's probably better than him at that too.
I'm glad we're on the same page there at least.
Oh yeah, dude.
The Jimmy Kimmel hate.
Fucking sucks, dude. He is the worst. Can we do a bonus video on him soon?
You fuck Jimmy Kimmel.
Fucking idiot.
I mean, yeah. Originally, just like, you know, I thought, I mean, she did end up becoming all female, but it turns out she was a male Raichu before she became the very first Rose Chew of all existence in general. And then just obviously a physical transition from the chaos energy made her go from being a male Raichu to being a full intersex Rose Chew to being a fully female Rose Chew, which is why she did end up having the pointed tail, despite the fact that when I originally drew up the Raichu in Book Zero, I wasn't totally aware of females' Raichus being different from the males' Raichus, just at the tail between a point to just a flat tip.
It's interesting you bring that up. That actually leads me into a question.
So let me get this straight. Rose Chews had sex changes, and now there are females. Okay,
and you can tell by the point in their tail.
Gotcha.
So that
I get it.
Dude, I've hated on Keffals in the past, and there's still 25 minutes in this video, so I'm sure I will in the near future as well. But I kind of have to give a little bit of credit here for just holding this together at all. Like that shit's just making me laugh. This it's interesting that you bring that up. Is it interesting that he brought up the sex changes of his made up comic book characters that are kind of just stolen from someone else's IP? Is that interesting? No, it's not. But Keffals is out to sea here in this fucking interview. Like, oh my god, what is going on? Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. That leads me to anything else. I gotta talk about. Can I get to my next question, please? Fuck. So I feel for her on this one, man. This is a tough gig. But
His
why you signed up for it? I hope you're getting a lot of views because this looks like it sucked to do. I'm sorry.
How is it doing? Let's see. 37K. That's
How
all right. I mean, it's good for us.
5 days? Okay. You know, not worth it for me, Danny. Even with our sub
Not
count,
worth it.
wouldn't have been worth that many views. No, wouldn't have been worth it for us. Not for me.
Would I interview Chris Chan for 40K views on the channel? Yeah, I would.
Okay.
You can set it out, Kev.
I was saying, dude, I'll just work. We'll do it through StreamYard. We'll just have me off on the stage so I can pull up the comments and just laugh the whole time.
You can produce that episode, yeah.
Yeah, because Chris would get off the line in 7 minutes, you know, because I'd be crying and laughing. I wouldn't be able to, no.
Oh goodness.
Question, because I've seen this
Mhm.
criticism
Again.
be made about
Uh-huh.
repeatedly at this point.
Mhm.
Do you identify as transgender?
Here's a
There's
good question.
rumor that is
Oh.
going around where you apparently are not transgender and your entire transition
We've talked about this
is a
before.
ploy to prey on women.
Oh.
So
Or have I heard that
mean,
before?
I've been on the estradiol and the spiral nocturnal for years. I changed the mark of my driver's license from M to F.
Oh, that
I grew up my hair for one
that
thing.
second one. The chemicals, I don't
think
give a shit
these would
about.
also make a
That's
statement as
nerd
well,
science
because my
stuff.
eyes are up here.
But
But seriously, no. Authentic.
You missed.
sorry, I stepped all over that. We're gonna go back. Wow.
Yeah, you missed. You missed Chris's remark about her tits.
Mm.
Here we go. Let's
Rudy
hear
would
this.
love these. What would Rudy say about these?
Those are my tits.
Come here, big tits.
I changed the mark of my driver's license from M to F.
Yes, we got that.
I grew up my hair for one thing.
Hair.
I think
driver's
these would
license.
also make a statement as well, but my
Tits.
eyes are up here. But seriously, no. Authentic. I realized myself as identifying more feminine than masculine.
Feminine.
So I literally came out as that for myself. And I realized I like it both ways. So I fully identify as a bisexual trans woman. 2 of the stripes on the LGBTQIA flag colors.
I assume that's what the answer was,
Oh.
because this seems like pretty cut and paste transphobia that you see everywhere.
Yeah, all the homophobia. I mean, I was affected by that as well. And then just
This is what I thought.
the trolls on the internet bullying me and
First of all,
gay images on me, like when I had
Chris was the
Wikipedia
most
and the
homophobic
individuals-
person to ever have been born before he transitioned. By the way, for the record,
He just said that somebody was drawing gay pictures of him.
Yeah, the reason people were drawing his female cartoons with dicks on them is because of how homophobic Chris was.
What would he
Because that was-
say? Like he
I-
just hates the gays, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have. Yeah, yes, he would. I don't remember
F slurs and whatnot.
I was gonna say I don't know if there's any footage of any F slurs or what, but no, he absolutely was homophobic. He hated that stuff. He thought it was bad because at one point Chris Chan was a Christian before he
Right,
thought
he-
he
the
was
Jesus
actually
Christ one.
Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of what we now can assume at least were his own repressed feelings. He was lashing out at the gay community. And so people would draw dicks on his cartoons to make him upset because he thought that
As you would.
they thought he was gay, and that's why they do that. He doesn't like that because he's not gay, you know. But now he's cool with whatever. So yeah, it's definitely
It kind of tracks when you think about it. Like if he was making this in high school, like they said, like he was doing these doodles and shit in high school, it would make sense that somebody would come over and draw a dick on his Sonic cartoon that he drew on his like Trapper Keeper or something.
yeah, right. Like that's how the internet works, man. You know.
Well, that's real life shit.
I mean, I just see Twitter as just an extension of, you know, like 8th grade or high school.
Yeah,
you know, like
it is.
your Twitter timeline is kind of just like walking down the halls of school. You know, you got to try to dodge some of the insults. Maybe you'll lob a few of your own insults. It's not anything I would be taking incredibly seriously. But this Oh my God. I want to say, you know, because I previously called Chris out saying I'm pressing X to doubt on this whole thing, I would like to officially state that I'm still pressing X to doubt on all of it. So, to each their own. Like, I genuinely don't care, but I
Right.
am interested to see how this next part goes, because this was the one thing that I thought might really put Keffals at odds with Chris, is once Chris starts to, because I have a feeling the more Chris talks about this, the more he will Freudian slip, as our good friend Schopenhauer likes to point out. And I think he will give the game away about his true feelings about these things if this conversation went on long enough. But because I don't think these two are in line with how they feel and think about any of this. I do think Chris is still, to some degree, putting on the
Homophobic?
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Interesting. Prison changed him, Kevin.
I don't see how anyone. It's crazy that Keffals would sit there. This is a person who we know, excuse me, trigger warning alert. We know this person R-worded his elderly mother, and she's framing it as if it's some preposterous transphobia to suggest that this guy might be doing this to be predatory towards women. Like, well, are you kidding me? Like, no, there's precedent of this guy being a creep. It's got nothing to do. Well, I shouldn't say that, because for some people, I'm sure it absolutely is that, right? I'm
Right.
sure there's somebody on the internet who's like,
Mhm.
oh, I hate him specifically because of that. But saying shit like that it's kind of been one of my beefs with Keffals in the past, is those sort of like blanket statements that, like, oh, if you disagree, you're a transphobe, like you're just a bigot. It's kind of like Hassan with his like, you're a genocidal piece of shit if you disagree with him. I don't really like that in this situation. I think it's absolutely relevant to think that Chris might be a creep when you think about his own personal history. But I don't know. Just in case there are those watching who don't know all that, that just felt like not a great, honest way to frame what the conversation about Chris.
I hope that they go on to ask thoughts on Israel Palestine. Then we'll really get into
Oh yeah, they
the
will really get
nitty-gritty with
into
these guys.
Yeah. You have everything I said about was correct, you piece of shit. Genocidal maniac.
that they just put them on the sides, like, these gay boy ads lead to like porn sites or whatever.
Oh, gay
just-
boy ads.
So, hey, that's a thing. So, hey, don't force sexuality on others. Just let them find it out for themselves in their own enlightenments and developments. Period.
I like
And
that
just-
He
statement. That's
doesn't
fine.
want you pushing gay boy
You
ads
find
on him.
cringe
Did you
in
hear him say
others.
that?
That's because you're likely finding something
Me either,
cringing in
Chris.
yourself. But hey, regardless of your background, where you had individuals that supported who you were along the day, and supported others for who and what they were or not, just, hey, do not judge others for things that you are yourself.
There were people who were telling me.
What was that?
That's a cut. That has to be a cut, because this doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Again,
It
don't
sounded
judge
kinda weird
people for being things that you are yourself. I think we're piecing it all together now, Danny. I am slightly correcting course here. I don't think it's all a grift. I do think some of this has been repressed feelings that Chris has always had, because you heard him. He said, don't judge people for being something that you are yourself. Well, that sounds like Chris 10 years ago being, anti-gay, but now here he is, a bisexual trans woman. So sounds like
interesting.
he's starting with the man in the mirror, as Michael Jackson would say. Shout out to the king of
I'm
pop,
always looking at the man in the mirror.
who never
especially
did
if I was-
anything wrong, I don't think, right? He never
If
did
I-
anything.
If I
He
was
was-
Chris, I'd be constantly looking at the man in the mirror.
Asking him to shave his face.
Am I the real Jesus Christ Christian Sonichu Prime? Am I the main universe Sonichu
Yeah,
Prime?
the main avatar too, by the way. Don't forget that. He's also like that. He's our senator. He represents our whole multiverse. When they go vote about stuff, it's him.
Hey, I like that.
And when this was announced that talking to you and putting this on a public platform would be irresponsible, saying that you are so mentally unwell and you're
Maybe.
neurologically, developmentally challenged that it would actually
Possibly.
hurt you in order to talk to you. But I didn't go forward with any of those concerns because as someone who was
Because you do
getting
not give a
targeted
shit
by
about
these
somebody
hate
that's
sites
not
and these
you.
stalking sites, I know one of the tactics that they often use is to try to alienate people from their victim.
Mm.
I had no idea. Yeah. What? I don't. What? We're not talking about me anymore. You said a lot of words there. I can't speak on whether or not it's what's best for Chris to have him. I don't think it's good for him to be on the internet at all. I think I've said that once before in this episode, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I get the feeling Keffals didn't do her homework. Is what this sounds like. I
Maybe
could be
doesn't
wrong.
know the depth is what you're saying about the harshness of what Chris has done, like the bad thing.
Yeah, that maybe is just doesn't have all the information. Those last two kind of questions have led me to think that maybe she doesn't understand the depths of this being's depravity.
I mean, maybe Keffals doesn't know the whole thing and thinks, yeah, you'll get some of it out during the interview with some of these questions. But I kind of get what you're saying. I feel I feel it's like almost Keffals is trying to be nice to keep the interview on a roll, but I feel like that's almost giving her too much credit. You know what I mean? Because I do think about, like, if you're doing an interview with somebody, and then once you get to the real difficult questions, if you show any sort of like you feel a certain way about the topic rather than just asking the question, that they in turn start to feel a certain way. You know, if Chris starts to think that Keffals is like on the offensive against him, that he might, act a certain way in return. So I don't know. Maybe it's part of keeping the interview on the rails, but again, that might be giving Keffals too much credit.
Yeah, she probably watched iDubbbz's final interview with Sam Hyde and was like, "Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't tell this guy I think he's an asshole before I start my interview."
Yeah, right.
Who would have thought? Some things you think good old fashioned foresight ought to catch, Danny. But hey, I'm just a bald, humble internet merchant. So anyway, Chris Chan, where were we with old Chris Chan? Is he a danger to
That's
himself?
right.
Yep, that's right. See, he said
And
it,
it's
not
just
me.
that is nuts in general.
He just belched right in the middle, and then Keffals is like, "All right, well, having said
So
that,
was
that's
this edited or not? Because either I have overestimated the amount of post-production that was put into this, or the editor is our style. Danny was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving that burp in. That's the funniest thing that's happened in 12 minutes. Like, we
I
need
like
that.
a lot,
I need that burp in here.
more often."
We need a King Cobra palate cleanser here where he can just rip a fart real quick. Pause for station identification.
I don't have any in the chamber, so or I would. It's that fart stage fright again.
Chili cook-off.
Attempted, many successfully, to manipulate you into doing things you otherwise wouldn't do. Even pretending to be your fans in some case in order to convince you that those things were good. Do you find it hard to trust people now? And what impact has it had on your mental health?
I do not find it harder to trust others because it just depends on their intentions, which is deeply resonant from deepest within their energy and their soul, as it were. So it's just my innate sense. It's just
one of the
which is so good, by the way.
I skipped that entire answer. That was enough for me.
Yeah, because I mean, you could just tell how delusional Chris is with that answer. Yeah, and you didn't need 40 more seconds of him continuing to be delusional. I get
it. Let's keep it rolling here.
I wanted to bring up as an example, and correct me if I'm wrong on this.
You're
I
wrong.
don't know all of the history of your life,
There you
I'm
go.
not like
Right.
some of the more obsessed people on the internet who pick
Oh,
up
that's
whatever
rude.
Like,
Got
I know that
him.
there was a group of trolls who were called the Idea Guys.
The Idea Guys. Have you
And-
heard of
Oh
this?
yeah.
One of
Oh,
their
I
There's no-
have.
ideas, what they wanted you to do, they were trying to manipulate you
piles.
into believing that like your cartoons, your comics were real, and that you had mystical
He-
powers. And
he
there was a
believes
dimensional
this
merge
right
happening
now.
where you could go
I was gonna
to
say he
cookie
just said that.
Okay, well, for first,
He just
Dude, not only did she not do her research, she's not fucking paying attention.
she's just not
Actively
listening to
in the
him.
interview, she's not listening to him. He said that. That was the first. Danny, roll back the tape, folks. The
Right.
first thing we made fun of was the fact that 3 sentences into his what should have been a 1-sentence response, he started talking about his Pokemon and all this stuff and how he was a chronicler of, like, he's been telling her he thinks this shit is real for the last 15 edited minutes of this program, and God knows how much raw footage it took to get to that point. So that is a hilarious part to me. She's like, I can't believe the Idea Guys. It says here they tried to convince you that your cartoons are real and that you can travel dimensions. Like, Chris told you that earlier. What do you mean?
He 100% believes it still. I will have to say that.
Yeah.
Definitely still thinks that he can travel the multiverse, but let's let Chris speak, I guess.
firstly, it's pronounced Quickville. You just say CWC like
Quickville.
it's spelled like the word quick. But secondly, no,
it's
they
real
were pretty
place.
much affirming what I already
excuse
knew
me,
long before,
Quickville.
before they came, because you look at the multiverse, anything
They were
and
confirming
everything
what
is
I
possible
already
in
knew.
existence. And
That's
just,
what
you
he-
know, I literally have been to the other half of our Earth that was divided long ago
Okay.
in 1389 AD by Merlin the magician and 2 other sorcerers by order of King Arthur. So just dividing the
Wait, King
magic
Arthur was a woman
and
too?
the fantastical, overpowered individuals and creatures into one dimension, and then
Okay.
Earth that we on the majority that only has like so much magic in it into the other. And the merge is happening where the 2 Earth halves are coming back together. And we're all going to be fully tangibly coexistence, which we have been for a long time. Except there's been that tangibility veil in between us, but it's
Okay.
thinning even more so.
So,
Dude,
I'm trying to catch up here. We had magic in our universe, but
And
a long
dragons.
time ago, the strongest sorcerers
Merlin
Gave-
and 2 other guys. Yep.
and King Arthur or something.
No, King Arthur just he just passed the order, or she. I think he said. Yep. So
Okay.
King Arthur's order, 3 wizards took the earth and split it into 2 earths, which
So that's why we don't have magic.
That's not how. It's not how that works. Like, we would be.
I get it,
Oh, is
though.
that why the Earth is flat? Because they split
Right.
it in half, and then
And we don't have magic, Kevin. It makes total sense as to why we don't have magic. They took it away, and that's also
well,
why
no, we're in the magic half, right?
we're in the magic half.
We have to be in the magic half. Y'all don't have magic.
If we were in the magic half, I'd have hair by now.
I'll say that. I was just about to say, you don't have bald dude magic. That's crazy.
Is it like that black man magic and that white man magic we were talking about with Steven?
Yes,
I have white man
It's
magic.
it's very similar, except that ours is that we can do solar flare. You know?
Yeah, well, natural talent.
We're able to see everything and everyone more clearly. But going back to the
Except for
question
yourself,
ahead,
you
Idea
delusional
Guys, Steven
bastard.
Boy, the people and the individuals behind it. Of course, I gotta mention Johnson Wiles, and that guy did a really massive tear and wear on a C197 half of our Earth. But fortunately, just because they deviate into multiple differing timelines between.
All right.
Remember when she was like, yeah, I was gonna say we definitely got to see what her response is.
Yeah, let's fast forward to the end of the little
Chris, these people
Chris's
think you're
answer.
crazy. They think you believe your cartoons are real. Well, actually, I already knew it was real. They didn't convince me of anything. And when you really think about it, and then he gets into the lore, dude. I feel so bad. This, Danny,
The
makes
Earth has
me
been split.
feel bad for my parents, because this had to have been what it sounded like to listen to me talk before I was on Ritalin, where it was
You said it, not me.
I was fucking 8 years old, you know. But it just sounds like the incoherent, you know, like when your little nephew's trying to tell you the movie he just made with the 3 action figures in his hands, and you're like, yeah, okay, buddy. Like,
Yeah, at least they're words. Like he
go
got
back
to
in the house. The adults are smoking in the garage. You know, go
Right.
get out of here.
At least he's evolved to the point where he can make the words. So there are words going on here. It's not just like goo goo gaga shit. But definitely it's like your first grade reading level fantasy.
Right? Yeah, he's like, there's this, and then they take because
He
even
read
he's
too
like,
much
well,
Chronicles of Narnia, like you were saying earlier.
yeah, he said because he said himself, our side doesn't have no magic. There's just some magic because if our side had no magic,
Mm.
then how could Chris be here and none of the shit? But it doesn't make sense. You know, it's incoherent ramblings. He hadn't even thought of his own religion yet. You know, like there shouldn't be this much gray area in your religion. All right, everybody,
and
Christians.
clear it up, and I get just a better understanding and appreciation of everyone and everything in general, period. Despite what they did.
Do you ever worry though that people are able to convince you that you already had an idea in the first place?
I think that this is I'm gonna veto this question as well and move forward here because he's already proven he's fucking delusional as fuck. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Are you concerned that people can? No, you don't understand, lady. They didn't convince him that he thought he had that idea. They just played into his pre-existing idea. Like, how does Keffals really not know how trolls work? I mean, I know it's a bit of a different experience, I would think.
The trolls they've experienced a little
Are-
different, yeah.
Yeah. But damn, it's just like no. Anyway, whatever. Yep. I hope for Keffals' sake that this isn't a new like career path where she's going into trying to be an interview podcaster, but it'll just need some work. She's already better than that weird blonde lady that interviewed Drake. I would take Keffals
In the
over
bed?
that. Yeah, that
Would you have watched an interview with Keffals and Chris Chan laying in a bed together with mics?
No.
Wouldn't have been more interesting to you?
If it was the same size of bed as Drake's, yes.
Okay.
Because Drake's bed is the size of a
comfortable.
1-bedroom apartment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It was roomy. I think Keffals is about to get into some of the hard-hitting questions here because if you didn't notice in my scrolling here, Chris starts to raise his hand like he's swearing on the Bible or something.
Oh, let's go.
Question that I had planned for the interview, and I'm just saying this ahead of time. But from what I understand, you were an inmate at Central Virginia Regional Jail from August 2nd, 2021 until you released on March 27th, 2023.
Now,
on charges of
if you
incest.
notice here, it's funny when I was watching this the first time, she edited this like messed up. So her voice actually is off sync.
I was wondering. I just thought maybe my internet was bad over here.
Right?
No, that's
actually the
live.
video.
Okay.
Because I said the same thing as I was watching it with my wife the first time. I was like, she not noticed that her audio's off here, but I mean, you got a lot of things to juggle, I guess, when you're doing a Chris Chan.
Yeah, I mean, how many hours
Maybe it
were
was
put
like
into this just to make it like salvageable, right? You know, probably
Well,
just like, fuck it, I don't care.
Well, you know, sometimes you post it and then YouTube's like, "Oh, this part can't be here," and they have to edit out when it's already uploaded. So sometimes that messes with things. So think about that. Maybe YouTube said, we can't have Chris Chan talking about his mom like this. So you got to edit that part out.
Yeah, we gotta
Now the audio's off
on
sync.
the Cessna, huh?
But this is the question, okay? This is the one we want. So let's continue.
Charges were dropped in August of last year. Now,
Mm-hmm.
people have
Dropped.
seen all of the criticisms made about you. They've gone through the court documents, they presented it all over the internet, in the news, etc. But what I've never seen about this side of the story is how this all played out from your own perspective. And I was wondering if you could tell us all how that happened.
Oh, please.
Of course. Hand over heart.
Hand
and
over heart, hand over
above
tit.
truth, and only the truth.
Okay,
So anyway,
I'm
so what
convinced.
essentially
When
happened
you're a
was
god, you
he
can
decided,
swear on
as I
yourself.
mentioned in the earlier video, just there never was anything like that happened between Barbara and I. Period.
All right, Kevin.
Now between the
That's not what I heard from
Barbara
Chris's
and I
mouth.
soap on it, all we did was just talk, and just I got to know her a little bit better in her past. Okay, like it's just like her father had died and fell off this wagon way back in the day, and her brother Stanley was the one that found him, and then just essentially told the rest of the family. That was just one story for example, but it's just
Talk
helping
about the
Barbara feel a little
allegations.
better in her later years and everything. All right, just talking and helping her to go back to her history, revitalizing her brain cells and everything. Now, aside from
Okay.
that,
Oh yeah,
so
he's revitalizing brain.
Isabella.
It's
So
that
she
magic.
is very sexually perverted and kinky, and she had the idea of just setting me up to have sexual relations with this girl Fiona, who ended up in a mental institution for a week,
Okay.
and recording that on the assumption that Fiona was underage, which at that time she was not. She was literally
Nothing to do with your
19
mom,
years
by
old
the
at
way.
the time. But then there was this, but yeah, Fiona, but then Bella. She also tried to get me,
Fiona,
or rather
Bella.
persuade me into other sexual deviations, of which I declined. And she actually got me to go into role play and fictions, of which she presented like just various things, and like some of these were actually written in fanfics by others, because in this timeline and here, because what are they gonna do? Just they have their own crazy wiles and everything, just nuts. But anyway, so she
Maybe
No.
maybe I'm just expecting too much out of Chris. Maybe I came into this a little wrong. Maybe I shouldn't expect Chris to say anything coherent. I should just expect that he's going to say something
Just a bunch of
that
shit that
doesn't
means
make
nothing.
absolutely any sense whatsoever.
For the record, Isabella Janke is a piece of shit. It does seem to be a pervert, but I've heard the recordings. A lot of you probably have, where Chris talks about the things that happened. So I don't believe any of this, because Chris has told the story 14 different ways. Before his first attempt to walk it back was that soul bonding was just cuddling, and that they just cuddled. They spooned in Barbara's bed. This stuff is gross. I hate even saying it is gross. I even fucking talking about it. But yeah,
Barbara.
and then there is the other point where he said it wasn't him because it was a Chris from a different universe came and took his place while he was in the other world where Merlin is, or whatever. I don't know. I forgot to take notes on the lore, but so yeah, no, I think this is all bullshit. And if it weren't, I think even Chris would be able to have a more direct line. Like if the answer were just no, you wouldn't have to talk for 8 minutes in circles.
Well, he didn't even did
you
he
are
even
Chris.
say no? I didn't do. I guess he did say no. I didn't do things with Barbara.
So yeah,
And
he
then
said
went on from
something,
there to explain this, which I don't understand how this has anything to do with the Barbara.
because he's trying to explain away the phone calls in which he is being heard saying, "This is what I did with Barbara."
Okay.
So what he's trying to do is he's saying,
That
"Oh,
was just
well,
role
Elizabeth
play.
Janke got me to role play and
Hmm.
pretend." Yeah, that's the defense he's going with, which, as
So
we all know,
is that the proof? Chris is the right. Is that the proof then that gets Chris in trouble? Is that he said himself that he did all this stuff, rather than there wasn't like footage of Barbara and Chris relations, right?
I mean, there's not footage to my knowledge. I hope to God there's not
It's
footage.
just his word saying, I did these things with Barbara, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, that's all that
Okay.
I'm aware of, yes. But, yeah, multiple occasions of said admissions, so and like I said, whenever it does get walked back, the story changes every time, so.
It seems like it's an interesting story here. Yeah, the explanation is like, what the fuck?
And also, yeah, the charges were dropped. See, who's not found innocent or anything like that. It was just
Right. I think he gets to this too as he goes along, but he says the charges are dropped, and he also says that something about the reason why he had to stay in prison for so long, or in jail. The distinction, it's jail, not prison.
yeah, you're right.
But the reason why he was in, I don't know exactly why he was in jail for so long, but because he was the amount of time he was in jail before they figured out the answer, I guess he was already in jail for the time that he would have spent for the crime. I guess
That's crazy.
he'll explain it himself rather than me explain it wrong.
So I'm sure that'll be
it'll be more confusing.
That'll be crystal clear once he explains it. Yeah.
He just kept on presenting the ideas, and I went along with her because as a friend and to test her out, see what she would do in the outcome.
Right.
Those were the four known outcomes in regards to Everfree Northwest 2021, the convention. But anyway,
What the
so
fuck?
I'll just check my
What?
notes here really quick.
That
I
was
had
an
this written down
advertisement
before
for
this. I thought
Kanye
about
in the middle
meditate
of
on it in
the
recollection.
speech.
But yeah, she essentially failed the test when she took all that, what the video calls we did, and she spliced them all together as she admitted on her Discord server, and uploaded that video.
Okay.
So had her comrade just call the police on me, reveal my location. They came to force me out of the house, and then came to get me and all of that. And which obviously her intentions on that were essentially making myself go into being unalive. You know, just that's no good. Or just
So this is a long-winded
Isabella
way.
is a piece of shit. Yes, definitely tried to get Chris to hurt himself from.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. That is true. Then Isabella Janky was the goal. There was probably, at least you can't really.
Yeah, I mean I don't
It's
remember
somebody's
seeing it
intentions,
in
you don't really
writing in
know,
a
right?
Discord, but yeah, I mean when all this stuff came out, there was a lot. She did awful things to people other than Chris. Yeah, she had a bit of a history of being a douchebag, both online and I think it was even like in college, on campus. I think she was just causing all kinds of chaos. So the real asshole, the Janky, which when your last name is
checks
Janky.
out.
Yeah, exactly. How are you gonna trust somebody whose last name is Janky?
just get institutionalized or end up in jail. But since I had the choice, I let myself be in jail. And of course, I used that time to meditate, clear my head, and really understand.
So
Let myself
he says
be in jail.
He says that he had the option of being institutionalized or go to jail, and chose go to jail. That's interesting too. I didn't know that they let you just pick. You're like, well, you want. I mean, I have a
I don't
feeling
think
that
they do.
Chris is not being completely honest. Yeah, right. It's like, well, you could. We could just throw you in a straitjacket in a padded room, or you just go spend some time in jail.
I think I would pick jail, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Far fewer. Well, it depends on the meds, but I'm assuming they're gonna give me stuff that I wouldn't like. And so, yeah, if you're gonna keep me in a cage, I'd prefer to not also be drugged up to, till I'm drooling. So I think I would pick jail too, rather than the asylum. But
I've seen way too many
I can't say
Marvel TV shows where they're like stuck in the mental institution, and they're like putting the the power suppressing pill in their little cup.
It's in the water.
And they're just taking their pill every day. Their powers aren't working anymore. I know what Chris is feeling here. I've seen it in a show before.
Stranger Things.
He's like, I can't go to the institution. They'll start putting the anti-Sonichu pill in my mix, and then I won't have my powers anymore.
He won't be able to open up that portal we saw at the beginning of the video anymore.
Yeah, the butthole portal.
Dad, and further and really realize myself, my role, and everything that is going on was going on at the time during the jail, and future tense and even present tense, this day, this time, this moment. But anyway, just checking my notes here.
Moment.
Oh, Right.
Gathering the
essentially that
thought.
was it. Essentially, she wanted me to fabricate all that, which which is in a distant alternate timeline, very distant, but did not happen here. It never happened
Right.
here in this timeline.
Okay.
And
See,
what she did,
there it
that's
is. In a
that's-
deep, faraway timeline, your boy was a diddler, but not here, not in this timeline.
I mean, it sounds like that's the answer, right? That's what Chris is saying, basically. I didn't do that shit with my mom here in this timeline. It was an alternate timeline. It was a different Chris Chan Sonichu Prime. I mean, what? It wasn't Prime. It was just Chris Chan Sonichu. You know, I don't know that other one. That other Chris Chan Sonichu. You know, he's the one that did all that bad stuff, not me. I'm the Prime.
It was Christopher Weston Chandler.
Oh, okay, Christopher.
Yeah, that was his actual given name. Did you ever hear the story about how Chris changed his name to Christian?
It was Christopher, and now it's Christian.
It was now it's Christine, but
Christine.
he was born Christopher Weston Chandler, and I can't remember if it was like an Easter bunny or if it was Santa himself, but Chris, sorry about that, hit the mic. Chris and his dad went to the mall and they were meeting. Let's just say it was Santa. I think it might have been the Easter bunny or just some giant teddy bear foot. The employee in the suit misheard Chris's name and called him Christian. And Chris took that as a sign from God and got his name, once he got a little bit older, got his name legally changed to Christian. So, yeah, that.
Wow.
Just a little fun fact. Just, boop, there's that. Take that one with you. Put in your lunchbox for later.
Well, I can't say that Chris has not been on quite the journey. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
just essentially to try to get me to become unalive and whatever. Still backfired on her, but it moreover was a good point to me because I got to clear my head and stayed alive. So that's a testament to it's like, no demonic or devil persuasion is ever going to make me force myself to become unalive in general. And I bet it's just a further testament of where I can count my blessings along even the darkest of situations. And by the way, I really have no idea where they got the idea of where I ended up in prison because there's a massive difference between
Here you go.
a community jail and a prison. That's just like it's these wings, these toxic individuals. They just can be so really, really stupid sometimes.
So there you go, Kevin. We got our answer. Prison and jail are different. Okay, community jail is one thing. Completely different than prison, okay? So what are your thoughts there, Kevin, after that explanation about the jail situation from Chris? It sounds like, if I had to wrap it up in my brain, Chris did it all.
That's what I think too. Yeah. Yeah. Not mentioned in this video was the 2016 incident where Chris, for whatever reason, decided to admit that he had dreams about sleeping with his mother. So that is 5 years before the alleged incident. So again,
there's a lot of Christery, okay? We can't get to it all, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I don't necessarily blame them for not wanting to bring that part up, I guess. But no, again, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think he did it.
I mean, he says
charges
he
were
did.
dropped. It's fine. That makes sense. That I can understand that a mother might drop charges on her son, even if a heinous, especially when she's reportedly, I mean, she's old. That's just a fact, but she's,
Right.
reportedly kind of senile potentially as well, too. Might not even have a great memory of what has gone on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? I don't know. It is it's unfortunate there's an unreliable source with that Bella Janky scrub, but if you have the years of Chris knowledge that some of us have, it's right in line with the kind of weird shit that he's done before. And he admitted it. He can say that he was role playing, but you hear the words come out of his mouth. So, you know what I mean? It's not like it's a bunch of Instagram screenshots or Discord screenshots that could be
Right.
altered. It's like, that's definitely, I've never heard a Chris Chan, maybe one. Liquid Chris was a pretty good Chris Chan impersonator, but no, that's not who this was. I don't know. So I'm with you. I
It was
think
an
it happened.
alternate Chris Chan. Okay, Kevin. I think that's
Mustache
just
Chris.
we've got to deal with the facts that we're presented with by Chris Chan. Okay. And the facts here are that he's a magical being. Okay. He's the prime of the magical beings that he is. And that sometimes some of those other Chris Chans, they get out of line. Okay. And Prime has to bring him back in line. So he's constantly fighting these alternate universes, you know, and then also has to deal with the internet predators telling him to, you know, diddle his mom and
Yeah, of
convincing him of
course.
things. So it's like, you know, I understand kind of. I'm empathetic towards Chris and his like, you know, battling the universes as well as like resisting temptation of sleeping with his mother. I don't as much get that one.
Yeah, that one escapes me a
The
little bit.
universe thing, I mean, I understand that. I've seen that what is that movie called? Everything Everywhere All at Once. I get it. I get the
Yeah.
multiverse.
That's like the best MCU movie I heard.
Right, exactly.
I just love Chris Chan taking the old Dark Side Phil defense.
So let's recap the situation. I did nothing wrong.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
There you go. Well, can't argue with that, I guess. Well, thank you for joining us for this Chris Chan Keffals interview. There's a little bit more to it, you know, a good 8 minutes or so more where they ask some more ridiculous shit and Chris rambles some more. But we wanted to hear Chris's thoughts on the whole jail time and the prison distinction. Of course, we got to know that, and the alternate universe thing. We had to get all that. Okay. So we will be here, Kevin and I, if Chris decides to, you know, go on, you know, Destiny's stream, or maybe the H3 podcast invites him on as a guest.
Ooh, there we go.
Maybe Dr. Drew gets him in as a patient or something, and they have a little picking of his brain. I think that's the next route. I want to see Chris Chan meet like an internet doctor, one of these Dr. Drews or Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil would be hilarious with Chris Chan.
You know, to stick in the YouTube sphere of it, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing Mudahar interview Chris Chan. I don't think
They've got to
Muda
be
would
in
let
the
him off
room together, though.
You think so? I don't know. I don't think he would.
That's what I want. I want Trisha Paytas to have Chris Chan on her podcast and be sitting in the pink chair next to her. Like I want to see that interview, you know. I want to see personal interaction with Chris Chan. It doesn't seem like he gets out of his green screen space. I want to see more.
Chris Chan and Trisha on a podcast together. I would watch all of that one. We might have 2 bonus episodes that month because we might have to break it down. Because if they talk for an hour and a half, we'd have to watch. That'd be 4 hours for us.
Is that when the Clout Route becomes like one of those like the Office chicks from The Office have a podcast that they go over every episode of The Office? It's like the Clout Route pivots to being a watch party for Chris Chan's.
Yeah, dude. Yep, it'd be like Chris Chan
and Trish.
Reloaded. Yeah,
Chris and Trish.
I like that. You got something there.
Sounds lovely. So yeah, if there's ever a Chris and Trish podcast, me and Kevin will be back here to talk to you guys about it. Okay. We are Christorians after all. So having said that, we appreciate your time. If you're catching this early on Patreon, thank you very much. If you're catching this later on YouTube, Thank you very much.
Thank you very little. No, thank you. Sorry, a lot. Thank you a lot.
Kevin's getting into his Mama Max impression here at the end. That's what that was.
Leviathans are coming for you if you do not subscribe.
We will catch you next time. It has been one trip on the Clout Route. Peace.
Why isn't Anthony Fantano reviewing my TCAP knockoff?